welcome to the heart of the migration. We've been waiting all afternoon, and now all of a sudden a wildebeest crossing is underway. Welcome to Kenya and the Mara River. This is a spectacle that people come from all over the world to witness. We've been sitting here for 3 hours. We've seen a couple animals cross, and finally a large herd seems to start moving their way. They can't help themselves. It is like a tap. Once it is switched on, they start flowing. Up on the bank, you can see the zebra and the wildebeest accumulating in very large numbers. They estimate about 1.3 million wildebeest each year, and about 600,000 to 700,000 will take in the migration that comes from south in the Serengeti, which is in Tanzania, through here into the Mara. The Mara, and we are in the Mara Triangle with the murderous Mara River in front of us. Now, normally there are plenty of crocodiles as they cross, but this seems to be a very low density for crocodile on this portion of the river. Choking in the dust. Okay, well, I'm not the only one out. We are coming to you live from the Mara in Kenya, and I've got some good friends down south in South Africa that would like to say good afternoon. Well, you are back with us in the Mara, everybody, and this is incredible stuff. This is probably the coolest crossing I have ever seen. There are thousands and thousands of animals still crossing from the other side, and it's a very strange sort of understanding, really, because they cross one way and then they cross the other way. There doesn't seem to be any sort of reasoning behind them. And Tamara, you want to know how many wildebeest and zebra? Well, it's very hard for me to estimate right now, but there's thousands of wildebeest and a few less zebra. But as far as the eye can see, there's just herds and herds and herds milling up against the riverbank. So you want to know, you mentioned the word buffalo. Actually, buffalo are much bigger than wildebeest. Wildebeest, these are the guys here. Their shoulders are quite high and their back arches a little bit and goes down flat, whereas a buffalo is a very big, stocky animal. And they do also partake in the migration, but nowhere near in the same sort of numbers as these, the wildebeest, which are the spectacle that people come from all over the world to see. You'll see in amongst there's a few little ones, just a couple little babies. They were all born a few months ago down in the Serengeti, and they follow the rains. Look at them jumping, look at that. I'd love to see a buffalo jump like that. I don't think buffaloes can jump. And so the babies were born on the open grassland plains down south in the Serengeti, and they've all joined in to the migration to come up north to follow the rain. And Elsie, you want to know how often the zebras migrate? Well, what's happening now is it's the migration that's come from the south with the zebra and the wildebeest that seem to follow each other. And in 3 or 4 months, maybe 5 months, depending on the rain, they go all the way back again. Last year it was a little bit delayed because the rain was a bit late, but this year it seems to be right on time. But the migration is this big circular route that they take from down south, coming all the way up to the north, and then looping all the way back down south again. And they keep crossing this river again and again, left and right, left and right. And it's a very confusing sort of thought, because it seems to take them all day to build up the courage to do so. And then later that day, they cross back again. And in some places in the river, there are enormous crocodiles. 5.5 meter crocodiles, 18-foot crocodiles that are waiting to just snatch them up. This seems to be a good spot in the river where there's only one crocodile that we've seen so far. Don't know where he's moved to now. Wallet, do you want to know if they trample each other? And sometimes they can. Sometimes they trample all sorts of things. Sometimes they jump off the banks and they break their legs. It can be quite messy. This is quite a sort of easy crossing. The bank on the other side is a little bit steep, but then it gets to a shallow waterbed and then a shallow bank out the other side. So this is quite nice. But there are other places where, for some reason, they're forced to cross and they do squash each other. Look at that, jumping. Their hooves are very sharp. And if they do land on each other, they can hurt each other quite badly, especially when the herds accumulate in the tens of thousands on the other side. And that causes enormous amounts of pressure. And then animals end up falling on top of each other. This is so spectacular to see. The noises of the wildebeest. You only like each other? Well, there's a thing that they do called facilitation. And you hear the zebras shouting. And what the zebras do is they actually have teeth on the top and the bottom of their mouth on their front. So they're able to actually chop the grasses very short, or they're able to chop the long grass quite low down. And the wildebeest don't have teeth on the top of their palate. So where you have your two front teeth in the top, wildebeest don't have teeth there. So they like to munch on grass that's quite short and growing back a little bit green after being chopped. So the wildebeest actually chop it nice and short, and the zebra, and then the wildebeest keep it nice and short. So they assist each other. The wildebeest need the zebra to chop the grass to a nice sort of length for them, and then they crop it down even lower. So we call that facilitation, where the zebra actually make the grazing easier for the wildebeest. Look at them go. They're incredible. Now it's getting a little bit messy. It's just unbelievable how to count all of these animals. It's very tricky. Zara, yes indeed, they are migrating. The whole family, dad with all of his kids as well as all his girlfriends. It's very hard sometimes to actually sex the difference between the males and females because they look very similar. But all of them have moved, and it is the way wildebeest move. They move in large groups. And up here in the Mara Serengeti system, we have the largest migration still on the African continent, and the wildebeest move in response to the rains, which produces very oopsie. There we go. Let's go for a swim. See, the current is quite strong. You've got to be careful, little one. You've got to swim this way. There's a little youngster. It doesn't know where to go now. Come this way, you'll be fine. And so the rains falling actually produces very nice grazing, and the wildebeest move in response to the very good grazing with everybody, their family, grannies and grandpas, all sorts of babies from first years to second, third, fourth year, all moving together. Some of them will stay, not all of them migrate, but the majority of the wildebeest do move with the migration. But some decide this whole sort of event is a little bit too much for them, and they decide to stay behind where there's enough food for them to last until the next rains. But because there are so many, 1.3 million wildebeest, they chop down the grass very quickly, so they've got to move with the rains so that they can get good food, because first of all the youngsters are trying to grow, mums are trying to produce milk for them, and then towards the end of the migration up here in the Mara is when the males will mate again with the females so that they are ready to have their babies again at the right time of year down in the south, once they're nice and strong and physically fit again. See, now that one's confused. You see, he wants to go back again. Sometimes it's quite hard to understand exactly what's going on in their mind. Let's go this way, let's go that way. Incredible. But it's not only the crocodiles you often find at these crossing points. You also sometimes find prides of lion that are waiting, because sometimes these wildebeests will injure themselves, and that makes for very easy eating. There are definitely not many wildebeest down in South Africa versus here. In here we've still got our confused little one. He's trying to figure out where the mum is, on that bank or on this bank. And the crocodile is very close, just there. Don't go too close to the water, little one. Still a youngster. You can see the horns are just coming out the top of the head. They're nice and straight. It's lost that very sort of chocolatey brown colour. The young wildebeest are slowly getting to the same colour as the adults. Paulina, you want to know why they go down together to cross? It's kind of the herd mentality, really. There's another crocodile to the right of it now. It's the herd mentality. They kind of, one goes and they all go. We know, if you've ever heard of the term people behaving like sheep, it's kind of the same sort of thing. Once one goes, they all go. It seems to be the thing to do. Every now and again you get loners that do their own thing. But the way these animals have survived over very many years is hanging out together in herds. You see that crocodile is right there. So by hanging out in herds is what makes them safe. So they prevent themselves getting caught by lions by being in groups. And so they cross together in groups as well to eliminate the chances of crocodiles catching them. When you go in on your own, you generally are more at risk of getting caught by a crocodile than if you're in a really big herd. Obviously, there's still a chance of getting caught, but the more of you that are crossing, the less chance it's going to be you. Many herd species in the world have evolved to be in herds, as I said, to keep them safe against predators who try and isolate them from a herd. Meat eaters, Lauren is with leopardess by the name of Tlalamba.